I'm much more of a generalist, and I get bored pretty quickly once I get to knowing about 70 or 80% of a field or a domain or a job. And again, if you're a developer listening to this, doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow my path. Obviously, I don't give advice. I just give my stories. There are lots of developers that spend an entire career in a particular domain, becoming an expert and moving up to senior, to staff, to principal, and eventually to distinguished engineer within a particular domain. That's a perfectly fine career path to follow. And we really definitely value those folks that we have, staff, principal, and distinguished engineers. But my journey has been, I feel like, as you mentioned, I started out actually doing hardware engineering back in the day, a long time ago, over 25 years ago. And I just wanted things to move a little bit more quickly. Hardware is, I think it's a lot different these days, but nevertheless, when you're fabricating something that's physical, the amount of time, when we talk about agile today in software development, you really don't have a lot of that in hardware, because ultimately you need to fabricate something, and then the feedback loop of getting that part back and testing it and validating it, and then that design cycle, that loop is pretty slow. And of course, nowadays simulators are more modern, but nevertheless, you're still fabricating something. And to get that product out to market, think about how long it takes Intel to get a chip out to market. That's going to be upward of 4 or 5 years if they're starting from a completely new product line. And I just wanted things to move faster. So that's how I quickly moved into doing software. Once I got into doing software, I did software for a few years, and then I actually just follow problems, I guess, that exist in an organization. Where can I apply my skills to create the most leverage for the organization? And I kind of follow my nose to go and do that. So I was working for a company and doing software development, but actually the operations side, web ops, or what I guess today we would call DevOps, was just not very mature. The company was growing. The online presence was growing very, very quickly. This was the age of, I was working in broadcast, and this was the age of what we called new media at the time, putting all this content online, and the operations were just falling down, right? The site was crashing all the time. We weren't able to sustain the traffic. So I volunteered to go over there and to help them out. And that's how eventually I started a long career in doing that kind of stuff and DevOps and what have you. And then I guess my pivot into product management again was following this, what did the company need? Really, I was working as a consulting engineer at the time, kind of a solutions engineer for a DevOps tools company. It's called Chef. Maybe some of you have heard of it. The product still exists, and I don't know the company's that hot or popular anymore, but the company really needed help doing product management. They didn't have a formal product management department, and it really showed in terms of the types of things that we were able to bring to market and responsiveness to customer needs. So a colleague of mine and I went and started the product management department. We brought along a third person and introduced product management to that organization. That was my first product management job. I knew I wanted to do product management for a long time. It was really hard to get into it if you'd never done product management before. So I figured the easiest way to do it is just to make a lateral move at the same company that I was at, and then have that on my resume, and then I kind of go from